OpenAI plays a Rockset, car buying made hacky, SUSE loves liberty, Broadcom develops their DevOps, look at some announcements from Pure Accelerate, and we're going to take a closer look at all the things that happened at HPE, Discover, and Aruba Atmosphere in this episode of the Gestalt IT Rundown. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Gestalt IT Rundown for Wednesday, June the 26th. My name is Tom Hollingsworth, and I am very glad to be back from Vegas because it was extremely hot, and of course, now it's hot everywhere in the U.S. But you know where it's not hot is on a nice secluded tropical island full of coconuts, which is where you'll find my co-host this week, Mr. Stephen Foskett. Stephen, how is that tropical coconut island?
You caught me off guard there, Tom. Northeast Ohio is lovely, but not so tropical.
Well, you know, it is National Coconut Day, so I had that on my mind. But it's also National Chocolate Pudding Day, and coconut and chocolate pudding go really well together. Just like this wonderful mix of stories that we have from all of the great things that have been happening over the last week. And it's been kind of interesting. There's a lot of news. It's conference season, so we've got a lot of things that we want to follow up on. The first thing that we wanted to bring up was, of course, this big announcement that OpenAI has purchased an analytics startup to aid in their AI plans. The company, Rockset, was bought on Friday for an undisclosed amount. OpenAI said that the Rockset technology will be added into the OpenAI platform, and Rockset employees will now be part of the OpenAI team. Rockset provides analytics to help transform data into actionable intelligence, according to the press release. The move is seen as a way to provide more enhancements to OpenAI's wildly popular LLM-based tools that don't specifically rely on hardware enhancements. To get a reaction from this, we would like to toss it to TechStrong reporter John Schwartz.
Thanks, Tom. It's like quantum supremacy on crack. What I'm talking about is OpenAI scooped up Rockset, an enterprise search and analytics startup, for an undisclosed sum late Friday, and perhaps its most significant acquisition yet, and just the latest maneuver in this escalating space race among the generative AI leaders. What's interesting about this acquisition is that OpenAI is, in a sense, swallowing this company whole. They're not only acquiring the technology, but they are bringing people on board, which is something they really haven't done with other acquisitions. And this is why Rockset's expertise in real-time data processing and vector search is expected to turbocharge OpenAI's ability to rapidly access and analyze troves of data, speeding up and vastly improving accurate responses from AI models. Mitch Ashley, the chief technology advisor at Futurum Group and TechStrong Research, kind of put it well when he said that generative AI large language models, quote, cannot rely solely on throwing more GPU, NPU, and inference processors at them to meet the rapidly growing demand for ChatGPT. In other words, it's not just about speed, but it's about enhanced services and especially enterprise tools as they apply to an OpenAI, Microsoft, Anthropic, Google. So the planned acquisition of OpenAI and Rockset incorporates new features into ChatGPT amid an enterprise push by OpenAI. This is a day after OpenAI rival Anthropic unveiled a new model, Claude 3.5 Sonnet, that is more than 3 times faster than its previous version, announced just 3 months ago. On Tuesday, Anthropic upped the ante again and announced creativity and teamwork features for Claude. So I think what we're going to be expecting are more enhanced features, faster processing, enhanced models, and that's good for the consumer, although it's pretty hard to keep track of what's going on. But there's going to be a lot of leapfrogging and one-upsmanship, and expect more announcements day after day after day. Back to you guys.
If you've been trying to buy a car or get one fixed in the last week, you've probably been turned away from the dealership. That's because a massive ransomware attack has crippled over 15,000 car dealerships across the country. The system that was breached is from CDK Global, which runs all aspects of a dealership, from financing to replacement parts ordering. The attack has been forcing dealerships to use older offline methods and costing them customers. Reports say that the worst of the damage has already been fixed, but it could take months to get the affected systems back online. Tom, hope your car's in good running order.
Well, it is now. No thanks to the people over at Black Suit. That would be our friends in the ransomware department that decided to attack CDK Global. Now, you've never heard of CDK Global. I almost guarantee you that you haven't, because they are one of those nameless companies that provides a lot of things that are well integrated. And so if you look at a modern car dealership, okay, let's look past the salespeople. Most of it runs like a pretty well-oiled machine when you think about it. They have to keep track of their car inventory and how much it costs. They have to keep track of all of the stuff on the back end. Let me give you an example of one of the reasons why the CDK Global hack was so devastating to the car market. When you agree to buy that car, once they've put the moves on you and made it happen, you go into the back, and that's when the finance dance starts, right? We're going to see if we can find the best interest rate. That's where they draw out the little square and make you pick the one that's the most important. Never do that, by the way. And they're trying to find you a good financing rate to hit your monthly payment, right? A lot of times, those special financing incentives are things that they can get from the manufacturer, but they can't get them when the system's down. And that's exactly what happened here, is that CDK Global ran everything from the back office to the garage. And another thing that they ran is the registration system. So in one of the linked articles that I was reading, in Massachusetts, you register your car through CDK Global. It integrates into the Department of Motor Vehicles. I think they call it the RMV up there. But like RMV will not accept a submission from a dealership that didn't come from CDK Global. Like it has to be done electronically. And so they weren't actually allowing people to register cars. Like they literally closed the RMV for the last week to anyone who didn't already have an appointment because they were getting overwhelmed having to do these things the old fashioned way with a pen and paper. Ugh, how dare they? Not only that, but a lot of companies that have integrations with CDK Global have started like removing those integrations for the time being until this mess can get cleaned up because they're worried that they could get infected. And you want to know how Black Suit did it? Good old-fashioned social engineering. They managed to convince somebody to give them access to a system that they shouldn't have had, and they used it to wreck 15,000 dealerships across the country. So, as a reminder, don't believe it when people call you claiming to be your boss. And make sure you have two-factor authentication set up so that nothing like this can happen. Barring that, maybe it's time to go check into the used car market, unless they're using CDK Global, of course, in which case all bets are off. On Sunday, CentOS 7 reaches end of life and a new era of enterprise Linux begins. But you can easily get on board with it now by switching your CentOS updates over to the SUSE Liberty Linux Lite for CentOS repositories. SUSE announced this move as a way to provide security updates to the some 30% of enterprise machines out there that are still running the free Red Hat Enterprise Linux clone. The difference between SUSE Liberty Lite and some of the other CentOS alternatives like Alma Linux and Rocky Linux is that you don't have to do a complete system reinstall in order to keep using this repository. Now, Liberty is going to charge you, because this is enterprise software, it's $25 per server per year, but you have to do a minimum investment of $2,500 in order to be able to use it. SUSE does promise to provide updates to CentOS 7 until at least 2028. Stephen, this is a story that seems to constantly come up as we find out more and more details and expirations of support and things like that. But is Liberty Linux Lite a good option for people that want to continue to use CentOS but aren't quite ready to do a full system reset to go with Alma or Rocky?
Hey, Tom, you ever hear of technical debt? I bet you have. That's what this is all about. Essentially, companies out there are still using CentOS 7. And it's important to realize that operating system was released in July of 2014. So it is 10 years old. And yet, many production servers are still running CentOS 7. And many of those users have maybe not decided is not the right word. Many of those users have not decided to do anything about that. And instead, they're running up against a wall. Because as you say, on Sunday, that's it. That's no more updates coming for CentOS 7. So as you said, it's pretty easy to upgrade to a different operating system. I'm sure that Red Hat would be thrilled for you to upgrade to CentOS Stream or RHEL. But of course, there are other options as well. And we've talked about some of those here on the rundown, including Oracle Linux, Alma, and Rocky, which are similar distributions. This one is a really interesting angle, though, because essentially what SUSE is taking here is, they're giving a future for this operating system, but what they're really doing is they're taking Red Hat potential customers. And that's what this is all about. This is about looking at enterprise users who are going to be stuck high and dry and throwing them a lifeline at a cost, and hoping, of course, that then what's going to happen is those users are going to become CentOS customers, or go from CentOS customers to SUSE customers, and that they'll continue to use SUSE's enterprise server going forward and no longer be potential Red Hat customers. Of course, the challenge here is that these people already weren't Red Hat customers. They were using the free version because they didn't want to pay Red Hat. Are they going to want to pay SUSE instead? Well, honestly, my advice would be, heck yeah, pay the money, because you cannot run a server without updates, without especially security updates in this day and age. And if you're not willing to migrate the operating system to something newer, like, CentOS Stream, for example, then maybe you're going to have to think about migrating it to, embracing this Liberty Linux Lite Lifeline from SUSE. So overall, I'm going to be watching this one to see what kind of success they get. It's a clever idea. It is a really good way to kind of stick it to a customer or to a competitor, and hopefully not stick it to the customer and bring the customers in and have them happy. But, is it going to work? I really don't know if these users are actually going to pay for a lifeline when they're already not paying. VMware is courting the DevOps community with changes to VMware Cloud Foundation, or VCF. They're providing templates that will help build better service catalogs. In addition, VCF 5.2 allows live patching and independent upgrades to Tanzu grid systems. The goal is to provide an easier migration path from solutions like vSAN. VCF is being positioned as the flagship offering for users that have embraced Kubernetes, while also encouraging users to move away from older vSphere deployments. VMware also announced that vSphere would be superseded by vSphere Foundation, which is a subscription-based update that integrates many of the new features into a platform designed to offer more than just bare hypervisor support. Now, we were both briefed in advance on this, and I felt like it is a radical simplification of the VMware licensing. Tom, what's your take?
Well, Stephen, I want you to look at this beautiful wall behind me, specifically the handwriting right here. For all of you people out there that were hoping that this was just an aberration and that Broadcom was going to come to their senses and do something the way that things used to be, that handwriting is just a big no, because they have already decided that this is the way forward. And quite honestly, I agree with them. Like, think about it. When was the last time that you developed for just a bare metal on-prem, fully self-contained unit? Spoiler alert: if you don't work in finance or healthcare, those people are not allowed to answer that question, because they're literally the only ones that are left doing it. And even then, when you're looking at new cloud-based EMR systems, that's still going away. Highly regulated industries are the only ones that are even approaching hybrid cloud and traditional methods of deploying systems. Everybody else has embraced using Kubernetes, using microservices, deploying DevOps methodology in order to do rapid deployment and development and all that other kinds of stuff, right? And so where did all the work in the system go? It went into VCF, which is their target for the DevOps community, right? Look at what they're doing: live patching, being able to upgrade, Tanzu Kubernetes grid systems in flight. Like, they're basically saying, you were worried about whether or not our R&D was going to get cut. We're just refocusing our R&D on our core customer base now, which is DevOps players. I would think that people would be able to see this now. The traditional idea of just a standalone ESXi system or a vSphere Foundation cluster is not there anymore. I mean, when you look at what vSphere Foundation has become in this new update, they're basically saying, if you want all of that cool new functionality that we've included, you're going to have to upgrade to our subscription service. And look, I can stand on my soapbox for the next 4 episodes of the rundown and tell you all the issues that I have with subscription-based software licensing. But in the enterprise, it makes sense, because you always buy support when you are in the enterprise, unless you're a CentOS user, in which case you're rolling the dice on everything. But For people who have workloads that require someone on the phone to fix them when things break, you're paying a yearly cost for it, whether you realize it or not. And VMware by Broadcom is now embracing this and saying, guess what, guys, this is what we're going to go with. So I think this is a much simpler idea. It basically gives people the option of buy it or don't, instead of having to have like a flow chart with 3 SEs to figure out exactly what license model you need. And oh, if we switch this out, you'll get a warning pop up every 90 days, but it'll actually be like $10 cheaper per month. Nobody wants that. They just want simple. They want to write a check out of their OpEx budget in this case and just keep running. So we'll see how the market approaches this. I think that receptively, the market is going to not care. It's going to be a big meh. They're going to pay and they're going to continue to run what they're running. And maybe in a couple of years, when it's time to have a radical paradigm shift, we might consider doing something different or changing the way that we do things. But for right now, it's ceteris paribus for everybody who wants to continue to do things the way that they've been doing them. At Pure Storage Accelerate 2024, the focus was on application modernization, emphasizing the shift towards cloud-native architectures and enhancing scalability, resilience, and agility. The event highlighted the critical challenges of managing containers at scale and integrating hybrid cloud environments. Pure Storage announced enhancements to the unified storage platform and additional AI capabilities to streamline data management and operate and optimize storage operations. The company is also integrating Portworx with Pure Storage Purity, providing advanced data services for containerized applications. I want to get a reaction from our friend and future analyst Mitch Lewis, who was at the event. So Mitch, take it away.
Thanks, guys. So yeah, a bunch of updates coming out of Pure Accelerate this year. Can run through them real quickly. They enhanced Pure Fusion for enhancing fleet management and automating all that. They have a new storage-focused AI copilot, new AI storage as a service offering. They enhanced cyber resiliency in a number of ways, new SLAs, as well as cyber security assessment, and AI-powered anomaly detection. And then they updated and added new Evergreen 1 SLAs. So interestingly, very outcome-driven updates, really focusing on making life easier for Pure customers, driving the most important outcomes, and then really focusing on Evergreen 1 offerings, which have been really a driver for Pure the last few years. The things that really stick out to me are that they're focused on two of the main things that IT end users are focused on right now, and that's cybersecurity and of course AI. So I think they really hit the nail on the head there on those couple of areas. Specifically with AI, they're addressing it from a couple different angles. So the first one being, how does Pure build AI into their systems, again, to make life easier for their customers, drive those outcomes, make things more efficient, all those good things. So they're doing that, like I said, with a new AI storage copilot. That's really neat to see. And then they also have, kind of mixing both of those things, the cybersecurity and the AI. They're building in AI-powered anomaly detection. And then on the flip side of how do they help their customers, drive their own AI initiatives, the thing that really stands out to me from this announcement, above everything else, is the AI storage as a service Evergreen 1 offering. So this is a new offering from Pure, and basically it's driven by an SLA that's saying, that's promising, hey, we can feed your GPUs, and guaranteeing that as an SLA. So this is a little bit different than other things we've seen in the market. It's very targeted AI, but what it's doing is removing that complexity, removing that worry, which is one of the biggest issues with AI of I have all this data and I can't get it to the GPU fast enough for training. Um, so Pure is basically saying, we'll take care of that. And it's freeing up the IT staff to, uh, focus on all the other fun, complex areas of AI and figuring out this whole new world of AI. Um, so again, very outcome driven and really focusing on the hot topics of today, AI, cybersecurity. We do have a full research note up on the Futurum website that goes into all these areas in a little bit more depth. But that's a quick overview of what was announced at Pure Accelerate. So back to you guys.
Well, Stephen, it's time to take a closer look at the big news from last week, which was, of course, HPE Discover and Aruba Atmosphere. For the first time, both conferences were co-located in the same spot in the Venetian Convention Center, and it was definitely fun. It was the biggest conference that I'd been to in a while on that side of the fence. Reported 14,000 people crammed themselves into the sphere to hear a bunch of announcements from Antonio Neri and some special guests, which we'll jump into in just a minute. But I thought one of the big things that I wanted to start off by asking you about was kind of they buried the lead a little bit, because HPE has launched a private cloud solution leveraging their own KVM hypervisor, which is aimed at customers who are, quite honestly, pretty upset by the Broadcom-VMware merger. This is in addition to their existing bare metal and container solutions in HPE's private cloud offering. Now, we already know that GreenLake is the platform of choice for something like 34,000 customers, but will a new cloud offering with a brand new custom hypervisor be enough to woo some of those VMware Cloud Foundation customers?
Well, I certainly think HPE is hoping for that. I think that this is a really nice move. I applaud HPE for doing this, because KVM has emerged as a good alternative hypervisor for people looking to run virtual machines on rather than just container and bare metal workloads. Up to this point, HPE's private cloud offering has really focused only on containerized and bare metal workloads. And yet it's been a very successful product. It's been very attractive to customers. And I think that the addition of virtual machines will enhance that as well. All of this makes sense to me. Uh, it does seem that enterprise customers are sort of getting real in terms of what they're going to do in a post-independent VMware world, with many of them deciding to embrace Broadcom's new licensing and very radically simplified licensing and offering stack, while others are looking for an alternative. And it seems to me that Broadcom is perfectly happy to let customers who aren't the kind of customers they want head somewhere else. Now, where are those customers going to go? I think that there's some companies, let's say Nutanix maybe, who really hope that they would come in their direction. But frankly, a lot of these customers are major HPE customers, or Dell, or some of the other products out there, and are looking for something that would leverage that relationship. The fact that this is all built into a unified offering is great. The fact that it integrates with GreenLake is even better. It seems to me that GreenLake has been the most successful of the private cloud as a service offerings out there, and HPE just keeps making it better and better. In fact, I've heard some customers who've said that GreenLake is the best product HPE makes. So to have an ability for customers to move from a VMware vSphere environment to a HPE GreenLake private cloud makes a lot of sense. I think that they're going to get some traction from this. I think it's going to work out well for them. And I think that it's going to benefit some, but not all, of the customers. So overall, I think it's a good move.
And I think you hit a key point right there, Stephen. It's the GreenLake integration that is probably going to drive this. It's not just that GreenLake is so valuable to these customers. It's that GreenLake does everything I needed to do without me needing to do anything with it. It just takes care of stuff. So what VMware by Broadcom is counting on is that people are so attached to VMware's workload stuff that they're going to pick a different cloud provider over GreenLake that isn't that if GreenLake doesn't let you run the VMware stack, or are people just going to pick GreenLake and say fix it? I think that's what's going to happen. I think a lot of people are going to get assistance from HPE to migrate their workloads off of an existing hypervisor onto this new GreenLake KVM, whatever they're going to end up calling it, and they're just going to stick with HPE. I think that's what HPE is counting on, because they're providing way more support on that side than you would get from another side of migrating all of your workloads off of GreenLake onto a new cloud provider. But again, time will tell, because a lot of the way that workloads are being developed and being run are changing. And that could not have been more apparent, because we got yet another stop on the Jensen Huang Rockstar World Tour, as Hewlett Packard Enterprise became the latest IT vendor to announce a major partnership with NVIDIA on a suite of private cloud solutions that are designed to accelerate the deployment of generative AI in enterprise environments. And that includes a complete turnkey AI hardware solution, new servers equipped with the NVIDIA H200 accelerators, which are also available on demand through GreenLake. And they're announcing OpsRamp AI copilot for automated IT operations. Now, it was no secret that HPE and NVIDIA were doing something, especially when we got the announcement that the NVIDIA CEO was going to be making a stop with his leather jacket on stage during the keynote. But how does all of this stack up? Are HPE and NVIDIA playing nice because they see a big future ahead of them? Or is this kind of an enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of situation?
Well, it is interesting, because I don't want to be a downer here, but when Jensen Huang sat down with Michael Dell recently, he was caught on camera saying that Dell was the best partner for companies looking for a complete NVIDIA solution. I don't think that he really wanted to say that on record, because frankly, the best solution for NVIDIA is to have everybody be your friend. Well, HPE is definitely their friend as well. And I'm sure that although Dell made hay with that video, I think that the big news here is that Antonio Neri is also Jensen Huang's friend. And not only that, but that HPE has a lot of nice complementary hardware to go with this. And it comes at a range all the way down from the ProLiants, the DL380 line with GH200s to the Cray high-end stuff with 8 GPUs in them. We've got water-cooled stuff. As you mentioned, we've also got the availability of HPE's hardware in GreenLake. Now, HPE has long been something of a hardware company, but the company's not just about hardware. They also, as you mentioned, announced this ops solution, the AI ops solution, which I'd love to see how that works out. We'll see where that goes as a co-pilot for improving IT workloads. But the big thing, too, is that they have private cloud AI. Now, this is probably the centerpiece announcement, at least from a forward-looking HPE perspective, because private cloud AI would be a way for the HPE customers to deploy AI-based solutions using HPE as their key partner. So this would be all sorts of AI use cases, including things like inferencing, working with data sets, as well as retrieval augmented generation, or RAG applications. If you're not familiar with RAG, this basically uses an LLM as a user interface to an external data set that can be queried on demand. We've seen some really great examples of RAG providing really good quality answers out of a chatbot, as opposed to the hallucinations that people are all worried about. The fact that HPE is now offering their own solution here, I think, shows the value and the importance of RAG. But more importantly, I look at this as an indication of the fact that AI really has gone mainstream, and enterprise customers are really struggling to get AI applications off the ground. I was on TechStrong Gang yesterday talking about this as well. It seems that most AI applications really aren't yet bringing the goods as far as enterprises are concerned. And this is a bit of a threat to this whole AI movement. if we can't get practical, useful, productive applications using AI tech, then maybe it's just all a toy. And I don't think that it is, but I think that that's going to be a prevailing sentiment unless companies like HPE can get their customers producing useful outputs, not just messing around and deploying hardware. So it's important that HPE is leaning into this. It was important that Jensen Huang would be on stage. Tom, I suspect that he looked really at home in the Sphere with that classic Jensen look.
Oh, he absolutely did. I knew it was him because I could see the leather jacket kind of walking through the darkness whenever he got up there. And of course, it was funny because as soon as he stepped on stage, you could tell that all eyes were on him, and he knew it. But that's his reward, I guess, for making NVIDIA such a valuable company in the space right now. I mean, you joked about the fact that they got him on camera at Dell saying, "Oh, well, Dell's the best company," and then he goes to HP and goes, "HP is a great partner." He has that kind of favored nation status with everybody right now, whereas he can kind of say whatever he wants, and everyone else just kind of has to nod their head. Now, granted, it's like the Rockstar thing where it's like, I love all of the people in insert company and city name here tonight, because basically he is allied with all of them. And it's a matter of figuring out which company is going to provide him the best return on investment. And for one of the few times in history, his answer is all of them, because it's not like they're going to jump ship and sell somebody else's solution. NVIDIA is a $3 trillion company. They're the only ones that are developing this kind of radical AI hardware right now. Maybe companies like Intel and AMD will catch up eventually. And that all depends on if people can figure out how to break the hold that we have using GPUs and NPUs from NVIDIA to run these workloads. Now, there are some rumblings that maybe they're going to try to figure out a way to get rid of matrix math in order to be able to run those. And that's still a research project. But the key is that he has, for lack of a better term, a stranglehold on the supply of the market, which means now everybody has to be his friend. But you also have to look at how the companies are building around that. And I think that this is one of the things that Dell may be missing out on, and that is the networking stack. So we mentioned that HPE Aruba Networking was holding Atmosphere concurrently with Discover, and there was actually an entire track dedicated to the way that HPE Aruba Networking was doing things. And a couple of the things that came out of it that I was really impressed by, there was a general session from Phil Mottram, who's the head of HPE Aruba Networking in the Edge Intelligence Business Unit. And he was talking about the way that they're using all the edge devices to kind of integrate all of this data flow back into a system to be able to do AI inferencing, right? You have to get the data from where it lives to where it needs to be in order to run this stuff. But you need to do it securely, and you need to make sure that it's seamless to your users. And they had a lot of people that came up on stage and talked about that, and talked like the University of Houston, which is one of the largest research universities in the country, talking about how they do all of these things and how they ensure that their people are capable of running all of these workloads. And of course, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the fact that they just released a new access point that runs Wi-Fi 7. Now, here's an interesting data point that came out of the AI enhanced Aruba Central. Did you know that something like 80% of people who have Wi-Fi 6E or 7 capable access points aren't running them in 6 gigahertz mode? Like, that is one of those things that AI can surface for you and go, I wonder what's going on here. And we recorded a great roundtable kind of discussing those data points and what they can give you, and maybe discuss a little bit more about how AI can maybe come in and go, hey, I think it'd be a really good idea if you turn this on. Here's how you do it. Here's the issues that you could run into. Like, that's the integration that people are looking at with AI. None of the stuff that they talked about in the keynote was, chatbot this, or analytics that. It was using AI to build more fuel efficient jet engines, using AI to do better crop rotations and increase crop yields. Like, they're very much trying to tie what they're building to run AI to real world problems. I mean, the videos in the Sphere were beautiful, talking about how, like Land O'Lakes is doing this, but not only doing that, but using HPE Aruba Networking to provide connectivity to rural farmers to help them get smarter about what they're doing, which of course then makes Land O'Lakes a better supplier, and so on and so forth. So I think you're starting to see a lot of this stuff mesh together. And I think that was one of the key messages that maybe flew under the radar a little bit is this integration piece is so important, whether it's HP and NVIDIA or HPE proper and HPE Aruba networking, or down the road HPE networking and Juniper. It's all going to have to be integrated to work well together. And if you're farming all of that out to different companies because you need something that they have, or better yet, you're trying to get something that the other company can't provide you, it's just going to provide stress for you. And I don't think people are really looking for that kind of stress right now. Well, Stephen, we do have some exciting things coming up that I want to make sure that our audience knows about. And the first of them is just coming up in a couple of weeks, because I'm going to be back out in Silicon Valley for Networking Field Day 35. We're going to be hearing from some of our friends like Arcus and Intel and Selector AI, but we're also going to get new presentations from Cpacket and Hedgehog. So make sure that you're tuned in for that on July 10th and 11th. We have the schedule up on our website at techfieldday.com of the presentation dates and times, as well as the delegates who are going to be joining us. And then in August, you've got something really exciting that people should check out.
Absolutely. We're excited to be headed to the Share conference in Kansas City, which is, I believe, the oldest enterprise IT conference, the longest running enterprise IT conference, because it focuses on mainframe workloads. So we're pretty excited to be bringing the Tech Field Day experience to the mainframe community, but also bringing some of our modern cloud-centric DevOps-focused delegates to the mainframe world to see how these worlds are intersecting. So do check out Share and maybe get involved with the Tech Field Day events there. And of course, we also have lots of other events coming up here on the horizon. I'm going to be hosting an AI Field Day, another AI Field Day event. We've also got AI Data Infrastructure Field Day, which focuses on all that stuff that makes AI work. We've got Edge Field Day coming back, another Cloud Field Day coming back. And Tom, you will be hosting Security Field Day, and I suspect maybe another Networking Field Day, right?
I suspect you may be right. I know there's a lot of exciting product announcements that are coming later in the year, and we want to make sure we bring those to you, because a lot of companies love showing off their brand new stuff during our event and getting the honest feedback from the practitioners that we bring to the table, because them, they're going to tell you what you need to hear. Just like you need to hear all of the news that we bring you every Wednesday on the Gestalt IT Rundown. We publish in the afternoon so that you can take a little coffee break and check out some of the stories that you've been seeing in the news to get our take on them, because Lord knows we bring the fun. And we bring all of that to you through video on our YouTube channel, through articles that we have sourced our information from on our website. And we also publish this as an audio feed. So if you want to look like you're doing something in Excel, but you're secretly listening to Stephen and I riff on the news, you're totally fine with that. And we would love if you would leave us a comment on the video telling us what you liked about the show, because that means that people understand that we're a little bit different over here, and we're fine with that. But those comments do a lot to help people understand who you are as part of the audience as well. And it helps us pull more information about stories and things like that. We will be back next week in July with more great news. Hopefully it won't be 100 degrees outside, but you never know. Until then, stay cool, everybody. Enjoy the remainder of June, and we hope to see you very soon.